First of all, I think your analysis was very straight line. History doesn't run in a straight line.
Kid, you cannot tell your neighbor he is stealing ducks when you are stealing funds.
As High Commissioner, I was wrong. As Akash Persaud, I reacted naturally how any person would have.
I did not come here for that kind of abuse. I did not come here for that kind of abuse. If you're going to go along that road, I'll walk off.
But it's all okay once they're talking. If they were talking, I could not have been here today.
You got ADHD.
I got that.
Calm down.
I think I've done enough in terms of taking our team out of trouble from losing.
Tomorrow, Taylor. You got script. I'm reading the script now, and the first person that comes to my mind to play a detective,
Yes,
but
the
an
Chinese
erratic
Mickey
detective is Mickey Rodriguez.
Why an African slap an Indian? Why a man and slap a woman? No, girl, how you deal with that? You deal with that.
We must encourage platforms like this because it brings together different people and allows for discussions to take place in our country on a multiplicity of fundamental issues.
Kingdom, you apologizing for something you think I did is wrong. I don't want you to do that, and you should not have done that. Hi there, welcome to the Freddie Kissoon Show with my co-host Akash Persaud. Thanks for being with us wherever you are. Good evening, good night, good afternoon, good morning. Our guest need no introduction, but he is a special guest. This is one of the ministers of government that have helped to make this program a success. He has never refused a request from us. This is his fourth appearance. And I'd like to say unapologetically, he has a blank check on this program, but when we come down to elections, he can call us anytime and we will feature him on this program. He is one of the few ministers who have never said no to us or said maybe next week, and we're glad to have him here. We will not get into all that we want to because he's the minister within the Ministry of Public Works. And that is one of the largest ministries. He probably correct me, but after education and health, maybe that is third. Once you come to Guyana, you cannot miss what is going on. Almost every road is being widened. Non-existent roads are coming into being. Non-existent highways are coming into being. And he will tell us soon from now, how soon from now the headache that we get at the Harbour Bridge will be over. Our guest this evening is Minister within the Ministry of Public Works, Indar Deodat. I call him Deodat Indar and Indar Deodat interchangeably over the past 6-7 years. Minister, it's always a pleasure to have you, and I'd like to thank you for always favoring this program and coming here.
Thank you.
That is Akash Persaud.
It's a pleasure to meet you here, sir.
Thank you.
19 years with the Chronicle.
Yeah.
The last time you were here on this program, you gave a good account of how prices internationally have gone up, and it affects every country in the world. And one of the things I remember quite vividly, you said, do you know how much a container costs to ship now? And you told us what it was before COVID and after. Mm-hmm. So there is this relentless focus on the cost of living by the Starbucks News. The Vice President said, look, they keep saying this, but they don't look at the things we have plugged into the economy to ease that. I don't think, given your training in finance, I don't think there's any person better than to adumbrate an analysis of the cost of living in Guyana. tell us about that and tell us about whether it's a runaway cost of living or it's something that could be explained.
Well, thank you very much for having me, and thank you very much. The first time I'm meeting you on the show. I normally see Gildari on that one side, there, but he's absent now. But thank you very much for having me.
I think he says, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to outdress this minister. But I like your title.
Thank you. So, you know, if we were an isolated country disconnected from the world, and we produce everything for self-sustenance, manufactured everything that we need, then, you know, an argument, a separate, very outlandish argument can be made that, you know, we can control prices to some extent. But the dynamics of Guyana, where we are located on that shelf in South America, global supply chains, we have to rely on them. We have to rely on shipment coming out of China, Japan, Malaysia, some out of Rotterdam, some out of Miami, New York, and from Canada. In the region, most of them come through either Jamaica or Trinidad. Some of them come from, but when they come out from Panama, through the Panama Canal, they stop either in Jamaica, DR, or Trinidad. Then you have the forward lines coming to Guyana. So every time a vessel moves from the original port, let's say it's Port Klang or Keelang in Malaysia, or a Hong Kong port in China, or Rotterdam in Europe, every stop it makes, these vessels are massive vessels. These ports are ISPS ports. There are charges every time you dock, you stay, and the tax on the cost. So the further the distance from where the production is to the delivery, it carries up the cost. And because of where we are, that price goes up. So, you know, pre-COVID, to bring a container out of China, as I said, I think the last time, it was what, between 3,500 to 4,000 US. Now this morning, if you were to call the Mediterranean Shipping Company, if you call CGM, CGA, if you call Merck's, and you ask for a quote, anything coming out of Japan, Malaysia, China, any part of that region, it's around, it ranges between 10,500 US to 12,500.
From 3,000 in 2020?
Yes. And between 2020 to now, but between 2020 to now, that price actually went close to about 21,000 per container. There was a peak in it. Then it went down back and it go back. So, but it has never returned back to the pre-COVID level. It has never done that. It remained high. And that costs, remember the container space, it's a net weight that you carry. So that's why I call it 20 foot, 20 ton, 20, 22 tons can come in the max. They don't carry that because the cranes, the lifting capacity, the cranes. A 40-foot container can only carry so much weight in the container, right? Because of the lifting capacity. So there's only so much volume can go into the container, but the price gone up. So now that price now got to feed into the cost of importing the unit. And that is what is driving landed costs here. But what we have done as a government, we said, well, we can't do anything about the shipping company with a charge in. But what we can do here is that when you import a good, say you buy this bottle of water. When you import this good, you have to pay the taxes on the cost, insurance, and the freight, the CIF value Georgetown. What we have done, we can't do anything but the cost because you buy that from an independent person, whatever country they are. We can't do anything but the freight because this is global freighting companies, logistics forwarding companies, and shipping companies. What we can do is that the assessment that the Revenue Authority would have normally used, we have reduced the freight rate in deriving the taxes that the importer has to pay using the low rates prior to COVID. So that cushioned the impact of the full cost, shield consumers from the full cost. Now, a person, if you don't explain that to them, if that wasn't done, prices would have been higher. Prices would have been higher. And we in Guyana, most times when we say we manufacture, we really assemble to some extent because a lot of the component parts come from different parts of the world. And we put it together. Either we manufacture, we send something to processing. If it's a bottle of soft drink or is a bottle of water, if it's, You know, any bottle item or packed item, the packaging got to come from somewhere. If it's a plastic packaging container, it would come from Colombia, maybe from the DR. Some, if it's paper packaging, some come out of Canada, some come out of China. It depends on what is used to manufacture. If it's chemicals you need, most chemicals now come out of Eastern Europe and Europe itself. China have a lot of chemicals that we use to manufacture. So we have to import that. So if an item, you have to produce an item in Guyana with 11 different items in the bill of quantity to manufacture it, is 11 counts of freight you have to put in that in the cost of manufacturing. And that is a problem. So now you have those who buy and sell too. So those who buy and sell, they buy the finished good, just put it on the market shelf or put it in a warehouse, put it on the trucks and sell it to the supermarkets and the shops. Those are the traders, the wholesale and retailing sector. So they don't manufacture. All they do is transport and logistics and sell and so on, right? And they tack on and a markup on that. So when you import the inflation, it has to, somebody got to take it up. And that is what happens. The inflation is imported because the costs at the point of manufacturing has gone up too. Remember, we don't live in isolation. Neither does any other country. Most countries that manufacture, they have no one company have everything there. They bring stuff from all over manufacture too. So the freight rates in other countries too is affected too. It's a global issue. So if you're manufacturing in the US and you need some of the parts and some of the component ingredients and so from somewhere else, you got to bring it into the US. The same increase in price you have to pay. So at the point where you import to, prices went up too. So then you have that, in the mix of all of that, you had an issue where you had the Ukraine war that caused global markets to their price of fuel to go up. When the price of fuel go up, it have a global effect. You know this. You have a global effect. That caused significant amount of issues. Then they had the Suez Canal. They had pirates been attacking ships, freight ships coming through there. A lot of people stopped going through the Suez Canal route and use other routes. That impacted the lead time of goods arriving into the country. So a lot of things, you know, affect a country. We are not a village, we are a country. And we have a lot of actors in this country, and those actors interact with a global supply network. And what affects them affects us. It's because we are tied at the hips. Everybody. This is cost of living and the increase of global impact because of changes in freight rates, changes in natural gas prices, because natural gas is used to create fertilizer. Fertilizer you use for farmers. That is why when you had this problem with Ukraine, natural gas prices went up.
And there's a ripple effect.
But I think it's close to 950%. When I checked the pink papers out of the World Bank, the pink papers it went up by 950% in a single year on year. And that is used to manufacture fertilizer for farmers. Crude, anything to do, crude is used to do so much a thing in this. But what it is also used to do is produce other fractionation of the byproducts of crude, like you have HFO that is used for steam, like boilers that use steam. Most production facilities use steam boiling to do their production. That price went up. The cost of production goes up. So the tentacles of when you have oil price going up and so on, and you have these global shocks, and so the economic tentacles and the impact of this is far-reaching in a cross-section of different industries are affected by it. And we are not disconnected from that. In fact, we are integrated into the process, so it affects you too. And what we do as a government is really try to alleviate the things that we have control over to the extent that we possibly can. Like the thing that I explained to you with the returning the freight rate to pre-COVID times. And so there's only so much that is within your control to do.
Akash?
Minister, I'm listening to you, and what has resounded with me is these costs that are attached to products that we bring into the country and freight and all of that. This morning I saw on the news on the internet that several pieces of massive equipment has already arrived in Guyana for the Gas to Shore project.
Yeah, the transformers.
That's right.
Yes.
They're here. The transformers are here. I think is over. I think it's 14. I think I saw in the news.
Yeah.
How much would the Gas to Shore project impact on these prices that we're talking about here, the Minister?
So, in Guyana, if you, and you can do this on your own, you can check all of the manufacturing companies and you can see what they produce at and what they sell at and check the margin. There are those that operate between 20 to 30% gross profit. Then you have to apply your administrative, distribution, and other expenses. Your net profit, most companies in the country don't make 10 cents on a dollar. They don't make that. If you take the net profit of the company and divide it by the sales or the revenue or the turnover, or you will see that is the cost structure is around 90 percentile of the revenue. So your retained profit is very small. So just say now you're making this bottle of water in Guyana.
Right.
And you have to export this water. Let's say we want to export this to Barbados. Most times, if you're not operating in a premium or super premium market, like maybe for exotic rums and other different things that we have that have this way called differentiation and uniqueness about it. Apart from that, things that are common goods are produced elsewhere too. So when we export our common things like soft drinks, water, margarine, shortening, things like this, detergents and so on, when we export those things like ice cream and so when we export those things out, the margin that you have to play with as against the competition that is already in their destination market is between 10 to 15%. It's very small. So you don't have much wiggle room there in your cost structure to produce. So what has been the impediment for manufacturers? And it's energy cost. Energy cost represents about 30% of your cost of production, give or take. If you're using light fuel oil, diesel, it's higher because the price of light fuel oil per barrel is higher. As against if you're using bigger sets like the HFO sets, 1.2 megawatt and up, those you'll get the fuel price will be cheaper, but your capital cost will be higher. Nevertheless, your operating costs will be cheaper. So then the cost for you to produce is cheaper. As I said, it normally represents around 30%. It is not exact, it's around that. It differs from company to company. What the gas to energy project is designed to do is to reduce the national grid by 50%, the charge rate to consumers. So we have not done that in terms of right now. But what we have done is subsidize GPL so that the fuel price that is happening, the increase is happening in the world, rather than that comes and GPL bears that cost and then transfer that to the consumer, it will kill people. Your bill will literally kill you. It will be so high. I can tell you, I checked the financials only recently for the power company with the management there. And the cost of generating power is the fuel costs plus other direct generation costs takes up about 98% of the revenue GPL collects on a monthly basis.
Just to produce the power?
Just to produce. That don't want to do with the salary, administrative, rent, security, and all the other things that you have there.
Wow. 98%.
About 98%. About 98% of electricity revenue. Right? So when I hear people talk like the opposition, they talk about removing the subsidies.
Oh yeah, we know.
It's a recipe for disaster. Now, GPL is a company that is a state-owned company, but at the end of the day, it is a company. And if it operates like a private sector company, normally private sector people don't bear losses. They transfer everything to the consumer. Like the freight rates and all of those things, they transfer it to the consumer. But in this case, we can't do that. Our government has decided that we will subsidize GPL because we shield businesses, we shield all the 227,000 customers on GPL system is shielded from the increase in cost. Right now it's about 104 US around there per barrel. or 90, on average about 95 to 104 per barrel, and for LFO is about 138 US per barrel of LFO. We use a lot of LFO now too because we have some new sets that are LFO. Light fuel oil, diesel.
Light fuel, diesel.
And the HF was the heavy fuel, the bunker C, the heavy fuel oil. So between those two, the mix between the generating sets, how they use those fuels, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. That's why we have to go ask Parliament for supplementary just to shield us from that. Now, you asked the original question, what does the gas to energy does to competitiveness?
Right.
Once you cut your costs, your base costs from production, effectively, your bottom line goes up. You don't have to buy all of that fuel now to run self-generating sets because most of the manufacturing companies, they have self-generating facilities. It's when the prices went up a lot of them jump on the grid.
Right.
And a lot of the big companies went on the grid and used up the generating capacity of the grid. That's why we had this whole issue because we didn't have the amount of power. We didn't have the amount of power to deal with that migration of customers. And then you have a lot of businesses are opening, warehouses are opening, housing schemes. A lot of persons are putting air conditioning in their houses now. People are living differently, so you have a whole host of added demand on the system.
Let me add this, Minister. I went in, and this I think needs to be dealt with also. I went recently with the Guyanese critic. We went down to the back of LBI. There's a new housing scheme in the back there, and there was a loss reduction exercise was being done there. I was shocked to see that every home being built had an election. Almost everyone does home that are being built there had an illegal connection to it, and the people are working power tools. And they're working ransom and all these kind of things. That is a massive amount of power being taken off the grid there and not accounted for.
So before, in the olden days, the losses that were due to commercial theft and technical losses was huge. It differed village by village. But then our government put in a program to deal with a power upgrade of different transmission and so across different areas, and we have moved away from an old kind of meter to an American standard meter, right? EMI meter, which is a little more technical, but it reads a little more accurate. But at the end of the day, right now we have about 25% of losses. So when you generate power, you have about 25% of that is lost due to, I think it was 13% technical and 12% commercial. So you have what we call the general line loss, and then you have commercial loss where people steal the power. So that is not billable.
That's right.
Yeah, that is not billable. So every time you spend money to generate 1 kilowatt of power, you can only bill for 75% of that. Because the other 25% is lost through transmission and distribution and through theft.
I wonder when Norton hears this, if he will honestly retract, because that what you have said there, if you remove that subsidy, I don't think I could pay like that and go back to gas.
You see, if fuel prices, GPL would break even if fuel prices, based on the current charge rate, the tariff rates for the different classes of customers, the industrial, light industrial, and they have the commercial and residential and so. If fuel prices drop $70 and below, you can break even. I'm not saying become profitable. You can break even with the current cost structure, with the number of departments, staff, the maintenance that you have to do, and the whole host of things. GPL is a massive company, right? It's a national power company. But fuel prices not being there in a long while now. It has been over that. So where does the company gets the additional money to pay for the fuel that they need to generate the power to supply the country? So, a village get blackout, everybody cuts you out. A community get blackout, everybody cuts you. Rightfully so, because in this day and age, you shouldn't have that. But it's in context of, the company, what they can deliver. And I'm thankful that, we could be able to get additional power with the power ship, a 36 megawatt that has stabilized the grid, because we didn't have the power.
Yeah.
So some of the older generators now, we are trying to refurbish them to to get them up so that we can have backup power, because come later down this year, the demand is going to rise again. So the thing is, these engines, a lot of them are very old, some old engines, and they give us many years, some of them 30 years plus. They give us many years of service, multiple cycles of overhaul they went through. So, and they give us good service. So, but there's a time when the country is growing fast. You have all of these, demand on the grid. Additional power.
So when can we expect gas ashore then? Because it seems as if we really need this thing at this point in time.
So the gas ashore project, as you know, that project has multiple moving parts.
Right.
Right. They have the pipeline lane in the deep water. You have the pipeline lane in the lower water to the shore. Then you have the onshore pipeline. Then you have the development of the material offloading facility. Then you have the power plant site preparation and the power plant building. Then you have the transmission and distribution to take the power from the plant to take it to the control center, which is at better acting somewhere in the vicinity of Eccles. Right? So you have all of those things that are happening concurrently. Right? So every one of them is, you just talk about the transformers.
Yes,
so
that
is the developer for the power plant itself and the NGL plant. That is for the actual power generation. But then you have to dispatch the power. So there's another company, an Indian company in Kalapataru, they are doing the 230 kV line. Okay. They're bringing it to Freedom Hoop and they're taking it to Eccles. Right? So that day we're able to bring the power to the major substations to move it into the 13.8 network to get it to businesses and households. So it's multiple works. So I think Vice President mentioned that in 2025 that the timeline for that is set, but we're working on multiple fronts to get that, and those things do not go without challenges.
I can imagine
every aspect of that, because those lines go through communities. To move those lines through communities, disruptions happen. So
it's a logistical nightmare, right?
Yes, but you got to deal with it. You got to deal with it.
People have asked me, a layman, I don't know a damn thing about public works engineering.
Yes,
how that bridge at Peters Hall, how is it going to eradicate the craziness that you have right now with the old bridge?
So the old bridge that we have connects the two major economic hubs of the country, 3 and 4. On any given day, you have about 100,000 plus movement on that bridge, to and from.
I move twice a day on it.
So you're like me, right? So I was born in Region 3, so I know this, right? So now we are putting a bridge so that bridge is 2 lanes, right? We are putting a 4 lane in place, 2.6 kilometers straight through, right? But the bridge will now be connected to multiple networks of traffic arteries to get it out. So on the west side, you'll have a roundabout there. You have 3 separate locations where you'll be headed out. One will go to Schooner to cut out all of the traffic from Vidinoop, straight along Vidinoop there. One will go to the West Bank, right? So you have 3 now. So that will bleed the traffic faster into the communities. Coming and going, that is on that side. On this one side now, when you come down, they will have a runoff and they will connect to the Heroes Highway, where you have a number 4 lane down there now will connect to make sure that the traffic dissipates quickly. If you're going that side, you're going that side, you're going the East Coast side. Because we are connecting the Ogle bypass straight to that area, to Heroes Highway too. So you get quicker connection on the 4 lane to take wherever destination you want to go. So that there will definitely reduce the traffic, because that road that you have there now will no longer be the primary road to bring traffic in and out of the city. Right. You will have multiple lanes now bringing and taking traffic.
I can't wait for that, Minister. Yeah. Tell you the truth, I spent my wife and I spent about 40 minutes in that eastbound traffic by the bridge there.
Yeah.
She took her cousin back to the airport, 40 minutes. Went for her cousin to the airport, 40 minutes. I didn't know how to get to the Heroes Highway coming from the airport. Yeah. I only know to get it from where I live.
And I tried to explain to him that
I go Sheriff Street and catch it, but it's coming back. How to get it?
And he was trying to do it in a particular time frame when it's not busy. I live 60 seconds away from the bridge. I kid you not. Right at Schooner, there's a Chinese supermarket there, JC. I live right to the back there. and I leave home at 6 in the morning just to get on the bridge on time so I can reach over here on time.
So if you're coming from the airport side, like beyond Grove going back that side, or anyway, in fact, any one of the on the east bank, we are building a number of connector roads now from the existing road to connect it to Heroes Highway, like Greenfield Park, the one by Massey there, and you're going down right down, right? Right now, we have built one. Soon as you come off the Good Success, Grove Good Success, there's a road taking you back a diamond there and connecting you to the back there. So when you're coming down that side, you could take that, connect to the Hero Highway and onto the newly bridge when it's built. So you don't have to come down this traffic route. So you have multiple.
East Coast people don't have to go through that.
They don't have, but if they have to go through it, they don't have to take the traditional route. East Coast people can take the Heroes Highway straight onto the bridge.
Right.
Or they could take the Ogles bypass when that's finished. I think by the end of the year, maybe we're looking to Preston to get it hard. To take them from Eco straight to Hagsbush, and Hagsbush is a road now they're constructing now under our ministry to take you straight and to connect the Hero Highway onto the bridge. So there are multiple ways in which you can come in and go to where you want to go, and if you're coming from the airport or if you're going up. Okay. So that there was careful planning in putting those roads and all of those highways and connecting them. It wasn't haphazard work. It was. He literally planned it out properly.
What's going to happen to the old bridge? They're just going to leave it there?
No, you can't leave it there. The maintenance cost will be...
It has to be dismantled.
Yeah, you can't leave that bridge. The bridge right now is an impediment to economic development behind the bridge.
So it will be dismantled?
You have to move that bridge. It has to be moved. Because the bridge right now there, because of the opening of the span and so on, is causing a problem. Now, the distance between the current bridge and the new one, when barges are coming and so on...
They line up.
Not the lineup. When you come close to where the span is, the retractor span, the water rushes. So sometimes that's why barges end up hitting the bridge and so on. So it's causing something. They have a tidal effect there that's causing the channel, the marine traffic to be in trouble sometimes too, because of the distance between the two.
I guess they're going to put it like what they did with the Mahaika Bridge. Put it as a reminder, part of Guyanese history is going to be put somewhere aside. Because they didn't get rid of the Mahaika Bridge.
We didn't reach that point what it's going to be used for. We haven't decided that as yet, but at the time, it's operable.
Yeah.
It's operable.
Minister, the developmental engine that is running right now to drive this country, which is a massive one. But I believe, and certainly we have said this on the show many times to many guests, that it's not running to full capacity, not because it cannot be run, but there isn't enough labor force to run the machine, the development, the transformational and developmental machine that is happening in this country. We don't have the labor force. People are weekends, people in working, night at 5 o'clock they close off and they can't because the work has to be done. Some places I see they're working, they have the labor force to do it. Myself and Mr. Kissoon has always been saying that this country we need labor in this country. How do we get this labor force here to drive this country, the development that's happening?
So let's just backtrack. So to correct you, and I don't like to do it, but Public Works Ministry is by far the biggest by spend.
Oh, I said the third.
By spend, we are over 200 billion. I think 288 plus billion. On capital, and then you have the current two. So it's about 223, give or take, right? And that is from sea defense to roads to traffic lights to highways, you name it, everything is in there, right? The agenda that you're talking about, in the agenda to transform, they gotta got the right ingredients. You have to have the materials, which we start running out of sand and stone. We had to fix that and no, because the amount of the engine was moving so fast, it wasn't getting enough supply. We had to import the material, the money, which is provided in the budget. We try to make sure that we put adequate for the development. The manpower is the one that you're talking about. Right? And the machinery. So the machinery, all the machineries importers, they are very happy because the country is moving in a particular way. Every contract, most of them people, the contractors, they will buy a small machine, some small excavator, some roller, something they will buy, right? And those existing contractors who have multiple contracts need multiple teams, so they have to buy. So importers of machinery in the sector, heavy machinery to be exact, they're not complaining. They are very happy. That is, the people who operate sand pits, loom pits, and all of those, very happy because the engine is just eating up everything. Good. Manpower, on the other hand, we have not imported the manpower as we have imported stone.
We need to.
As you understand, as we imported the machine, we have not imported it as yet. We have used existing labor, and the existing labor force has dried out in particular sectors and stratas of the economy. We have told contractors when they came and like if a person from another country in which we have multiple amount of them bid and win projects, we tell them bring your own people. Because if they advertise for truck drivers, they don't even get. Because as I just said, sand, loom, stone, those things, the trucks move them. And there's a lot of truck drivers that are required. Like for example, one single project. The highway over there, they wanted about 3 million tons of sand for the base or something like that. So around there, right? When I checked it up, it's about 27,000 truckloads for a single project. 27,000 truckloads that is moving from the East Bank on the East Bank. That's a one project. That doesn't deal with all of the roads, the bridges, the housing schemes, or the highways and all the things we're doing. One single project. So that tells you the drying up of the local resources that the economy is driving. Persons, like some of the contractors, the Chinese contractors, the Indian contractors, and them, they bring their people.
Right.
That also is affected by the oil and gas sector. So the oil and gas sector, before they used to use a lot of expats in the beginning, but a lot of Guyanese now are trained, a lot of people now are working in the sector. They're moving from other sectors into the oil and gas sector. Aviation engineers are moving into the oil and gas. Civil, mechanical, electrical engineers are moving in. Environmental people. You can't find an accountant these days. So it's also that engine that is requiring specific labor sets that are pulling from the existing labor pool. That is why training, the gold scholarship that we put in, the institute up in Barbies that we built, all of those things, all of the private companies that are training us.
Professor Sankat.
Yes, all of those things are helping to prepare our people for the opportunities that are here and that will come to. Right? So the dynamic is very fluid all the time because every new development requires new FPSOs, they require new drill ships, supply vessels, onshore facilities, the whole long leg, every new development. So when you have that, it requires more people. Every new FPSO that comes out, they have standard crew that have to go back to back. You need to bring people in, people out, and you need to train Guyanese and so to see what position they can take up on those in the current and the near term. So we live in a time where we should be fortunate to live in Guyana at a time like this, Freddie.
One sec, Freddie, please. We had Mr. Nascimento who was on this show here, and he said on the show, even if we train all the Guyanese that we have right now, we still would not be able to have enough people to run this engine. So my thing is that we need people to come in this country.
So you got to look at the modeling too, and the modeling from the countries that did it right. Most countries, like if you go to UAE or you go to Qatar, you go to certain places, even into the US and most of the countries in Europe, a lot of them had migrant professionals into the country, and that helped them build their country. Professional people coming into them, people with good trade skills. And so look at Canada; they have their skill program where they used to bring people from welding, chefs.
A lot of Guyanese went there.
Accountants, everybody. Once you had a good degree, they would not because they needed the manpower there.
What's the share with us all of these papers you have here, man? What are inside those papers?
Well, actually, most things that we do in government, I normally keep a track on some of the things that we do. Especially to deal with what do we do for Guyanese. You know, you hear a lot of things about people. A lot of people claim to say, you know, I can do a better job than you. You know, I think I can do more. But they promise more and deliver less. But we actually deliver on the promises that we make. And I was looking back at some of the things that we put in only this year's budget. I'm going back to 2023, 2022, 2021, and 2020 when we came in. This year's budget alone, the amount of programs that we have that are connected directly to the poor and the vulnerable in the society. In the heart of the government is to address the issue where we alleviate people from poverty. We try to make their lives better, right? Whether it's by giving direct assistance like public assistance, pensions increase and those kind of things. If it's direct transfer in terms of helping people with, offset their fertilizer costs, or, reduce their taxes, or reduce their electricity bill, or things like that, or fuel. Fuel, about $80 billion, about $40 billion per annum. When we removed the excise tax and made it zero on fuel, it cost the Treasury a whole lot of money that if was in place, the Treasury would have been $40 billion per annum richer. Yeah. By 2 years, it'd be $80 billion. I think VP mentioned something like that in his press conference. So, and that could have been used for different things. But what are you doing with your people when you tax fuel? It makes their disposable income reduce, and they have to go into their savings and so on. So government has taken a decision to shield people from that. And by removing that tax, and by doing that, we in Guyana, we could, fill up your car for less. You can operate your machinery for less. You can run your light for less because we are subsidizing the fuel for GPL. Right. And they are not charging you for that. So you live by paying less because of all of these things that government put in place.
You don't see these invisible positivities in the Starbucks News weekly thing about cost of living.
Yeah.
You don't see that.
Yeah, so that's the thing. So transportation costs, like transportation is a key one. Everything that you sell in the market is transported from one place to the next. If it's bora, if it's baigan, if it's pepper, it comes from the market, and it comes from the farm, it goes to the market. Something moves it. It's maybe a canter, somebody in the back of the wagon or something, right? So if we didn't reduce the price for fuel, that man, when he go buy gas or diesel, you got to pay more for it. He will charge the farmer more to move it. And the farmer would not go in his pocket, he will carry the price up. Right? So same thing, goods being transferred from point A to point B. Same thing, if fuel prices are high, nobody in the private sector won't say, okay, we will take the loss. They factor that price in, keep their margins, and add it on to the selling price. Yeah. But what we have done, we have removed on that commodity side, on taxes and commodity side, of things that the previous government had on simple consumable items that people use, a whole host of things, about 200 plus basic stuff that they had taxes on at a level where when the thing now reaches the supermarket is now required to charge a value-added tax on it to consumers, charging an extra layer of tax for the Treasury. And we have removed those things so that people don't have to pay them.
Let's go on to the ubiquitous topic in Guyana, roads, highways. That is, I don't think anybody who came back to this country after 20, 30 years, they're asking what is going on here.
Yeah, so I actually recently came back from the US. I visited, I had a short stay over there, and I met only recently a lot of folks that didn't come back in 10, 15 years, some of them 30 years and so on. And I got, just hear from them what are their views on. And they were blown away. Listen, in the 3.5 years plus we are in government, we haven't reached 4 years. August will be 4. Let's call it 4 for
August is it's August the 2nd one.
Close to 5,000 community roads we built. Right now, on the massive highways and them, about 300 structures have been built between roads and culverts to make these highways and all of these access ways that we are doing. Look at the huge transformative projects like the bridges that we're building, the Wisma one, this one here. Look at all of the highways and the connection in the new areas we're opening up. Community roads, every housing scheme, every community. When we go in and we come out, there's not a road there, you can say that's bad. So we are building the entire country. We say every road we will fix. And we are making the whole country in this way. Property value goes up because when your roads are better, people build. There's no bush next door because person didn't have access to go build a house or something. Now they have a road to carry the sand, the cement, put it in the yard and start construction. If there was an old Brockup road or something, a good road now is there, property value go up. Look at Albistown there with Independence Boulevard. Look at all of the different places all over where we're going to put brand new roads. I had to drive to Queenstown to come here. I took the road to come to Queenstown. We did this through the force account of the Ministry of Finance. This whole block here, straight up to Kingston, right? About 21 roads or something like that. We did. See those roads? Smooth, very proper. What we have to do though, we have to ensure we don't break as we build, because most times when you do these new roads and so, they're designed to take a particular weight bearing capacity. And if you run a truck that is 60 tons on them, you're going to break them up.
You're seeing that on the road.
If you take a truck that is with that and you take the corner and you lock in the corner and the wheel go around the edge of the road and turn in, it breaks the end of the road and it starts. So we are finding a lot of that is happening. You need the trucks. You need the truck because the truck is going somewhere to build something outside a housing scheme to give somebody, one of your cousin or some far auntie or your neighbor house lot. Because everybody wants a house lot. They got thousands of requisitions for house lot. So you're building on the backlands and so, but they have to take the community to go into those. And those are the kind of things that, there is the perils of the development that is happening. Because the breakers, let's build.
Let's talk about politics. You should be comfortable with that. You're a practicing politician, a member of parliament. You campaigned the last elections. How do you see the political environment as we're creeping up to November 2025? You were assured of you were assured that the ruling party, especially the charisma of the president, is everywhere. I don't think there is a president without taking away anything from anyone, the president. I don't think there was any president who went in a short space of time, in 3 years, 2.5 years, and interface with perhaps the country. How do you see things unfolding politically? You're all right? You're sure that 2025 you're back in the saddle?
Well, that is what we've been working for. We're working to earn the vote of the population. And that is why the president and all of the ministers, I can tell you that we are everywhere in every community. I can tell you for me, when I took this job, I didn't know what rest is. And I'm sure that is for the president and that is for many other the cabinet. Because you have to earn people's vote. So, and that is why we build so much in the country. That is why we're doing all of these outreaches, because sometimes when you build things, it's for everybody to use. There's the issues at the kitchen table that persons need help and assistance on.
Right.
With the outreach and you're meeting people and so, those come out. And you have an opportunity to serve people, and if you see what is being practiced by our government, we go out and we serve people. It's leadership that serves, servant leadership they call it. You're on the ground, you listen, and you serve people as best as you possibly can, as humanly possible as you can too. Because, every community you go, there's different issues. And every person have their own kitchen table issue that they will like an intervention, whether it's a job for their children, whether it's something at the hospital that they need help with, whether they need a road fix, whether it's a culvert, whether they need defogging, where some bush in the area need to be cut down, where is a park where taxi are gathering that they need paving. But whatever it is, when you go out, you pick it up. And in that way, you have a more strong connection with people, Freddie. And I think in this government, I think that we are showing an example by actually reaching out constantly, every day, all day. There's not a day you can pick up and go anywhere you don't see a minister somewhere, somehow, or the president. He goes out and he does his walkabouts and his outreaches and so on. He takes OP into the regions too. He does OP outreaches where he goes to the region, like region 3, region 1, region 2, 9, all of them. He went to all of them, right? Where he took everybody, whole government apparatus, and take it in the region for 2-3 days and deal with issues, you know? So with that, Freddie, I think that deservingly, you know, we should be comfortable that we are serving the people of Guyana, and they see that too. You know, because from time to time, you know, you have everybody come in and say, oh, you know, I could do a better job. But the proof of the pudding is always in the eating. And I think the last government, they didn't come out much to see and deal with
much of a pudding.
But it doesn't look good on the other side. I mean, I think most people will agree that you have an opposition that is seriously fractured. So there should be some consolation in that the government, well, not the government, the ruling party should be on a safe road as we creep up to November 2025.
Yeah, well, you don't leave anything to chance. You know, although, you know, your synopsis is, you don't leave anything, and you don't get lazy, you don't let up, you don't, you know, take people for granted, you know. Somebody call your show by, you know, you gotta hear them, you gotta say as best as you can. Yeah,
complacency is the enemy of politics.
Yeah, you can't let up at all. You have to be, you know, forever relentless with this serving of people and serving their needs. And sometimes, you know, be honest with you, you know, the timing of delivery, some things are done faster than others, and you gotta measure that because people's expectations now are different, you know. And you have the information highway. It's no longer the time in the 60s and the 70s where, you know, things came with pamphlet and handouts and
social
so
media.
In split second, you know, stuff is reported and you see things and so on. So it's a different environment in which we operate.
Minister, as a follow-up to Mr. Kissoon's question on roads and highways, Friday night when we did our live call-in show, I put up a picture of a young boy trying to with a wheelbarrow fixing some holes by the cemetery road there. Cemetery road has been going on for a little while, and there is another one by there's another road by Dennis Street. Now, one has to be blind to say that development is not happening in this country, both figuratively and literally has to be blind. But then there are these other projects that has been, you know, that's been going on for a while, and I can tell you, I lived in Dennis Street. And citizens are really, really being affected. And I believe that much more should be done to alleviate that sort of suffering that they're going through. Cemetery will have been going on for a little while now, man. Yeah. Yeah, no, how do we, I mean, I don't want to call people, I don't want to call these contractors delinquent, but how can we, moving ahead, I mean, how can we fix these problems?
So, December we had a meeting with that particular contractor. We did, I ended up going on the road with the contractor.
I saw it.
On multiple occasions, and we moved the project in the rain. Moved the projects a little where there's drivable service. One side of the bridge at Peter Street is done. The rain came and the other side is filled. But there's another piece of road there that needs to be paved and so on. And I think that better could have been done. The road should have been fixed. There's only so much I can do. The easiest thing for me to do is to terminate. But at the end of the day, that I think that that project will be done. There's a small piece that needs to be paved, a couple of 100 feet. We're going to deal with that, and the other part of the other piece of the Princess Street Bridge that right now have a lot of water in the trench. You got to deal with that, and a little widening going up a little further. So a lot of the work has been done, but is not completed. And Dennis Street. That entire project there, a lot of it had to deal with the revetment and so on.
Right.
And the other thing
and the other thing is the piping.
the mains at the bottom there was a real hindrance to the entire length of the project.
MPC Raj mentioned that to us here actually.
Right, the piping at the bottom there was rough, and they had to deal with that. Actually, one of the hold up recently on the Cemetery Road too is the piping by Independence Boulevard. I had to take Sheikh Bash there with a whole host of technical team. The pipe was running under the road. We had to reroute the water into the community without cutting, so that took a little while too. So all of these things sometimes add to the length in which a project should have completed, but that project should have been completed months ago. But we will get it done. It's not. I can't remember any project that we started that hasn't.
I know it will get done.
There's a widespread belief among independent-minded citizens that the city council is using the garbage thing to embarrass the government. People come from all parts of the world in Guyana, they see this garbage, and there seems to be some validity to the theory that it's politics. That, look, let the garbage stay there, man. They're in government, and they clear it up. The Ministry of Public Works, sooner or later, will have to make a decision.
So let me tell you, the president, in his vision, said to me, and he made me the chairman of what you call a National Enhancement Committee that have a lot of different agencies. And we do a lot of parks and different things. We do all of the all of the medians and so all of the police work that they do is part of that whole thing about in the whole country about making these safe places and so on. We work close with First Lady Office, different agencies we work with. But we also do the national cleanup. And we have done 7 cleanups in this entire country. And we move truckload upon truckload of garbage into the site when we do it. We wash the roads, we do it. Ministers, the president, prime minister, everybody out there, all of them with a rake or with a glove or something, picking up garbage in the city. This is a primary function of City Hall. Primary function of City Hall. And they are not doing the work. If you say it's politics to leave the garbage, a person living in the city, and maybe Hill Street or one of those other streets that I drive every morning, Sussex Street that I drive every morning, I have the garbage pile up all over the place, need to ask himself if it's politics for me to have garbage in front of my gap all the time.
Absolutely.
It is just not, that is not politics. They need to go pick up the garbage in front of the people's place. If I take out garbage, I need to go and pick it up. If the city leaves it there, they're just delinquent in their duties. Now, I could tell you, I could go and drive around the city now. It is all over the place. But we normally would go and intervene on, as I said, we had 7 national cleanup. Because I'm the chair of the committee to mobilize and everything. President leads this initiative. It is his vision. And we clean up this whole country. You've seen those pictures. You've seen how much garbage you move from this. Look at the place at on Sheriff Street. They're right next to the same street.
Right, exactly.
On that one side, we put out 9...
Just over Jury Lane, right?
Jury Lane. Jury Lane was a dump site. Over 70 truckload of garbage came out from there. Oh my
goodness.
When we first cleaned it up. And that's just one area. Everywhere you have this. There were multiple what we call dump sites in the city. Right? So City Hall, they have to do that. They're elected officials. Another point is the city, people in the city elect them to serve. Where is the service? They gotta go and that is a primary function.
But it's becoming, it's expanding. When you see the garbage in Street A and Street B, it gone out to Street D, F,
around the corner too.
Look, Lombard Street. Everybody that leaves Georgetown, they would go drive through Lombard Street and they go out and they turn to Sussex Street and they go out by Kaichor News, by thing, and they could leave the city, right? That is a traditional route. And a lot of people still take it. When you drive up a little past, where is that? Ashman's here, a little way turn up, then you straighten up a little bit on the right side. I got some empty land down there. Always have tires, always have garbage down there, truckload upon truckload, and people still go, some of them you prosecute them and, but as a country, we have to be better. We have to be better. We can't be building a country with so much and then, you dirty the place. When you go in a beautiful house and you got sweetie paper down there or empty bottle
the house
down
is not
there,
nice anymore.
It's not nice anymore. You're right. So we gotta look at that, man.
The airport.
Yes.
How things coming up there?
So the airport, well, as you know, we're doing back the whole superstructure and so on inside of there. We're doing some work on the runway. The works, one of the contractor did not perform as we wanted, so we had to remove him and put another contractor. But the airport have good management down there. The airport is seeing a lot of increased traffic. But the airport will also benefit from a lot of investment in terms of how customers are being processed. Traveling public is being processed in and out in terms of making all of those forms electronic and so on. So in the near future, something definitely will be dealing not just with the physical infrastructure, but the system of how you clear when you come in and when you go out. All those paper forms and so on, they're kind of little, old-fashioned.
I know, yeah.
So
The railway embankment stops at Enmore. Where is it going to go?
which railway embankment or which exact project you're talking about?
No, the existing railway embankment
that I live on.
The old train
that
line.
starts from Cherish to
Old
Old
train line, yeah.
It ends at Enmore. So where I know they're extending it. Where is it going to?
No, I think that is about 38, if not like 38 kilometers from Sheriff Street straight up to Orange Nassau. That's
Oh,
going
so it's-
till up to Orange Nassau with a
really?
big bridge over the Hope Canal along there. There's a huge bridge there.
Oh.
Where we're going to put there. So it's widening going straight up there.
So it's going to go way past Enmore.
Yeah.
It's going in.
So it's going to Region 5.
That's
Till
Region
to
5.
Orange
That's right.
Nassau,
Yeah.
Okay, when that likely to?
Well, there is a current project. We're working at different fronts on it, right? We're working on different fronts. We do have some spots where we have to deal with some relocation of persons who have occupied the parapet of the road because remember it's going to be
right,
wide. So you got to deal with that sensitively too. The development does have its little ailments with it, but you have to have an approach that when the development comes, it doesn't harm people in the process.
We're coming up to program time. You had you did a call-in program with us.
Yeah.
That was quite effective. Could we do one in the coming weeks?
Yeah, we could do one.
We were on Friday night.
the
at the
call-in?
church.
Yeah, most of it was, I could have answered all of those questions when they called because I knew when they asked, I knew the community and I knew the place and so on.
Akash, anything for the minister?
No, I just want to wish you well. I hope you've been getting some rest.
Rest.
When you start out to work, you reach office at what?
So I'm not going to lie to you. I don't stop working. So what happened is that when you don't see me on the road, and so it's follow-ups you have to do. You have to call an engineer or a contractor. You have to check on what's going on. It's always follow-up. You have to read reports. So when you're not in you're always doing that. Like before I came here, we were dealing with a whole host of analytical work to deal with particular things between 2015 to 2020. And I was looking at some of the financials from GPL and some other things too. So when you're not out there, don't mean that you're not working. The minute your eye open in the morning, you gotta call people, make sure things that you plan for the day is going as usual. And then I assist the Prime Minister with the energy sector too. So you have the power company is never a place where you say you don't have challenges. So you have to you have to be on that. If a community have blackout in the night, you can't go to sleep and knowing people in. You gotta. So most times I be up with them teams finding out what's going on until, So it's difficult to say what are your parameters of your working hours. It's not something that you have.
Minister, thanks for being here. I'm telling you now, you have a blank check on this program.
Thank you, sir.
You've been very
was a
nice in
pleasure.
this program.
Yeah.
When the campaign starts, you just come through the door and sit down on that seat there.
Thank you.
Listen, don't work too hard. You must all work and no play. They say make what? Jack of what? Right. You still have time to let down your hair and go at Splashman and
I ain't got much like you. I got much hair like you.
There was one time you had that hairstyle, right?
Yeah, one time he was still on my shoulder length, but actually they cut it off.
But you still enjoy yourself on the weekend.
I actually try to go to church every Sunday. I ain't gonna lie to you. You know, back in the day, in the weekend, when the weekend come, you know, you want to go everywhere and all kind of thing. But as you get a little, you know, older in life, you try to focus on different things. I go to a very small full gospel church in Metamirzar.
Okay, I know you're from the West Coast.
Yeah.
Listen, we in a couple of weeks' time, you could sit right there and take the calls, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Friday night. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Thanks.
Okay, great, man. Yeah. Ready?
Thanks for being with us. You were watching Minister Deodat Indar, and I call him Indar Deodat most of the times. And we had some very, very, very revealing information that GPL doesn't earn anything. It goes back into power generation. And we've had a very, very good description of what the Harbour Bridge will be like when it comes on stream. All that traffic confusion will be a thing of the past. Thanks for being with us. We will see you on Wednesday. On behalf of Minister Indar Deodat, bye-bye, catch you later.